Hey everyone, this is Austin Schur here with We Write About Music, and today I am so excited to have back on once again Freyah. She's got a brand new song out. It is called Royal Highness, and I'm super excited to talk to her all about it. Thank you for being here. You were one of my first guests 4+ years ago, and
Yeah.
so this is a big welcome back. How are you
Oh,
doing? What's
thank
going
you.
on?
Austin, you were actually my first interview ever. So,
Nice,
yeah,
honored.
yeah. So this is like a special interview for me today.
Very
I'm really happy
cool.
to be here. So
I
thanks.
hope I hope I come off more confident, more rehearsed, more better post-production. Things have changed a ton.
Oh, cool. I mean, look, you did such a great job last time that I'm not even complaining. But I
Nice.
would say honestly, I hope you feel the same way about my music too this time
I
around.
do. I do. And it's funny because, well, it's not funny, but when I first interviewed you years ago, like I loved your music, obviously, but it's been on my like my personal playlist. And so every time, I'm cruising in the car and what's the song? Run Wild, I think it
Run
was,
Wild.
comes
Yeah.
on. I'm just like, that's a damn good song. You know what?
Thank
Like it
you.
doesn't matter. You don't need to be the biggest artist in the world to make quality music. So you
Exactly.
are
Exactly.
crushing it. I remember though, like one thing I didn't ask you last time was I know your real name and I know your artist name, but what's the story behind your artist name?
Oh, by Freyah. Okay, yeah. So actually a lot of people ask me that because a lot of people do know me by my regular name. But my my regular name without giving it away
Yeah.
kind of sounds like someone who could do your taxes really well. Doesn't really sound like
Okay.
it's a real rockin' kind of name.
Sure.
But as I was kind of exploring and looking for names, I came across Freyja is the Norse god of love and war and sex and gold and all of this like
Nice.
stuff, and I pretty wild, right?
I mean, yeah, I would have never guessed, but
Yeah. So she's this goddess, and I was like, a lot of my music topically kind of fits into that bucket, that fits
sure.
in that Freya energy and that Freya vibe. So that's why we went with the name Freya for this project.
That's a great story. And honestly, I had no idea where it was going from the beginning. So, no, it's powerful. And I think like the one name artist name has a ton of power and energy to it also. And it's easy to
Totally.
remember. That's awesome.
Totally. I
Um,
want all my
yeah,
music to kind of fall into that Freya energy vibe, that like love
absolutely.
and
Well,
war.
yeah, I would
So
say this song holds it. It's confident, it's powerful, and like obviously catchy as ever. It's called Royal Highness for anyone that missed out on it. And I've listened to it probably like 5 or 6 times at this point,
awesome.
because it's good, but also just because it's got a lot about it that brings me coming back, whether it's like the instrumentation or your vocals. But I find it's always best to kind of hear what it's about from the person who wrote it. So
Oh
what's
yeah.
the story behind this one?
Okay, so the story behind Royal Highness. So the obvious is that it's a person who's trying to usurp the throne from an evil queen or a queen who is not
Sure.
deserving of the throne, at least in her opinion, not
Yeah.
deserving. In a way, it's a little bit of a metaphor for, if you've ever, worked with someone who thinks they're like all that, and you're like, how are they in this position? How are they in this
Yeah.
position of power? Right. I think everyone can relate to
I
that.
think literally everyone in the world with a boss can relate. It's like like I'm smarter than you. I'm better than you. How are
How
you
are
the one
you
telling
here?
me what to do?
Right,
Yeah,
exactly,
it's
exactly.
true.
And the kind of the character in the song is kind of experiencing this. Well, everybody is kind of gathering around me and calling me
Yeah,
the leader and making, saying that I'm wonderful, but everyone's afraid of you.
sure.
So it's kind of this like, well, who's really deserving of that spot? So if you've ever felt like you were deserving of a position that you didn't have, that's kind of along those lines, someone who,
Nice.
and it's funny, it's a little bit inspired by a social circle that I observed. There was this
Okay.
person in this social circle who, so this is another area, another metaphor.
Sure.
um, person in this social circle who kind of, is ruling this little social circle. And she's really not very nice. And she is, kind of mean. And people are
Yep.
afraid of her. So they just keep her in that position of being the, the queen of that social circle. And it's like,
Yeah.
well, do you have to do that?
I mean, you
So
just described the plot to Mean Girls, but
thank you.
it's a real thing. And listen, it doesn't, it's not just for women, it's the same in guys' friend groups. Sometimes
100%.
it's easier to just kind of sit back and, talk crap about the person at the top instead of like assuming that position.
Yep.
And I fully understand. I think I can confidently say 95% of people who listen to this will be like, wow, like I'm in the same situation and didn't
Yes.
realize that I was. So
Yeah. Oh, I'm glad to hear that. I feel like the song is super relatable. So I'm like super, super happy to hear that. So
100%. And like I said, it's super catchy as well. Obviously, you operate under, the solo moniker, but how does it work in terms of like instrumentation, production, and sort of like, post, post end stuff?
yeah. So basically I sit down with my guitar and write music. I'm writing music
Okay.
all the time. And every once in a while, one song I go, I think this is what I want to produce. So
Sure.
my producer is Aaron Sanulis. He then takes my raw, rough draft of the song and starts building around it. So sometimes like I give him like a general like, hey, I'm looking to kind of fall into this vibe of artist. So we'll talk about a few different artists and see like if I were to be on a Spotify playlist
Yeah.
with these artists, how would my song sound? So that's kind of
Sure.
how we approach production behind that. So and yeah, and so he does most of the instrumentation, except for whatever bass I give him. And then once
Yeah.
he sends it back to me and I get the okay, then I go ahead and record the vocals on top of it. So this
Very
song
cool.
again was one of those songs that was done entirely remotely, like nobody in the same room.
Yeah, I mean, that seems to be the trend, but you wouldn't be able to tell from the final product.
Cool.
And another thing I have to say about it is like, obviously it's rooted in pop music, and I'm not
Yeah.
gonna call it like a top 40 hit because I find a lot of those to be kind of generic and soulless, but
Yeah.
it's catchy enough to keep you coming back, and at the same time, it has like those alternative roots to it, to where it's like, this is my sound. It's familiar with others, but at the same time, you're continuing to, carve out something for yourself, which
Yeah.
is so important in independent music. And it
Yeah.
just like, I don't know, there's something about it that just feels real and not overly manufactured, which again, so rare to have in music nowadays. So
I know.
if
I
that
know.
was the goal, you nailed it.
It was. Yeah, no, it
I'm
totally
sure it
was.
was.
I have to tell you what gets challenging with that though is then when you start to pitch to Spotify playlists, okay?
Yeah,
So if you've ever done this before, you kind of like there's different services to do this, like Groover is one
sure.
of them. And you kind of go on and you look for, well, where do I fall? Am I indie rock? Not quite. Am I indie pop? No.
Yeah,
My indie pop rock and my pop rock. So the pop rock folks are like, it sounds too indie. The indie folks are like, it sounds too mainstream. So I nailed it right in the middle because I
I
did
agree.
I do have pop roots, but it's somewhere in the middle of that grouping. So if you're someone who does enjoy mainstream music, you do like pop rock music,
Yeah.
but you like an indie sound, this is actually that.
I fully agree, and that's
Okay.
that's the hard part is, like, it's bridging that gap between being too generic and kind of, like, honing in for what you want people to think your sound
Yeah.
is, but I think at the same time, because it is a nice mix of pop and rock, you do cast a wide net for the people that could enjoy it.
Thanks.
You're
Thanks.
welcome.
I
You're very
appreciate that. That
welcome.
that that was the goal. So thank you.
Nice. And not to stray too far away from the song, but, like, obviously, your sound has changed over the years. you know, it's just it is what it is. Like you're a different
Mhm.
person, you're changing.
Yep.
When you're writing, are you always in like in the midst of experimentation? Are you always trying new things to sort of like, push the goals?
Yeah. So I actually am. I'm recognizing that I write across genres. Like I have a
Okay.
song right now called Extra, that is about being a little extra, right? But it
Yeah,
is like
sure.
straight up pop, and it does not really fit into my Freyah vibe. So I
Yeah.
have actually started to experiment with sync licensing,
Oh,
because
nice.
yeah, because I actually enjoy I enjoy songwriting just as much as I enjoy performing. So
Yeah.
kind of doesn't matter what genre it is. Could I take that song and put a little spin on it and make it a rock song? I could.
I
I just
mean,
don't feel like it
yeah.
fits the I feel like I'd be shoehorning it in. So
I
um
understand that.
you know what I mean? Yeah.
Right, but I think at the same time, like, not every single one of your songs needs to be like the Freya mold. Sometimes you could, not pull a 180, but try something new. And I think at
Yeah,
the end of the day, like, if that's the headspace that you were in when you were making the song, then that's all that matters.
all that
It
matters.
doesn't need to be put on an EP or an album. It can just be, an isolated single for people to be like, "Oh, this sounds different, but I like it." And it also attracts a new kind of fan who's like, in the future, "Oh, I really like this straight up pop. Can we have straight more pop?" Creates a
Right.
conversation.
Absolutely, it does. And I think even like my next song, that I was actually just working on it this morning.
So
You're yeah, I'm always
never
right now.
stop.
Never stop. Is probably going to be a piano ballad that you're
Oh,
getting from me. So I know, which is a little bit not so much of a departure. I mean, I did Holy
sure.
Ghost on my last album. I don't know if you remember that one, but
Yeah,
it was ballady, and but it still fell into that stomp clap sort of. It had claps in it, and it had a
yeah,
gospel choir, so it still had that like,
sure.
it was in that swagger space a little bit. But yeah, I've been like super super inspired. I lost my dad like
Oh,
about 5 years ago. Yeah, and
sorry
just
about that.
recently, as I've been, no, it's thank you. He was like my number one fan, like biggest supporter, always at all of my
Awesome.
shows. And I've recently just been, I've been feeling him more, his presence more at my shows recently.
Yeah,
And yeah, I'm kind of inspired to write about him. And so I wrote this song that is just, I kind of feel like I have to share it with the world. I want to share it with the world.
of course.
Why wouldn't I, right? So
Yeah.
so
Do you ever
yeah, so
feel like oh, sorry, keep going, keep
no, go
going.
ahead, go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, do you ever feel like you need to be inspired to write a song? Or, not necessarily by what happens in your life, but just, I feel like writing a song today. I'm gonna sit down and try something.
It's great to be inspired to write a song, but I do, and I've been inspired to write songs about so many different things. Like the song Dig that I wrote, that was
Yeah.
about like a serial killer, was about a serial killer from a Netflix series. I was inspired
Oh,
by
geez.
right. Yeah. So there's inspiration everywhere, which is really cool. I don't need to have personal inspiration to
Yeah.
be inspired to write. But um, there are times where I'm like digging around and looking, and I think I even like may posted on Facebook once, give me some song ideas. Like, what do you want me to write about?
Yeah.
Because when you have like a bucket of ideas to write about, it's very easy to start, for me at least, to
Sure.
start. But there's, universal topics, love, hate,
Of
war,
course.
all the Freya things. Um,
Okay. I get that.
yeah.
Listen, I love that though, because it's like, I think a lot of people wait for things to happen to them, or they go out in the world and things just generally happen. But the
Yeah.
fact that you could be sitting on your couch or in bed watching a Netflix doc and write a song about it, I
Yep.
think that's kind of special. And it breaks the mold of like, we have too many love songs, we have too many breakup
Right.
songs. It's like,
Right.
hey, did you see this doc? Like, let's just write a song about
I just
that.
thought
I
about
think
it.
it's honestly, it gives you more depth into like just what you can do. And it's kind of unfortunate that like so many people don't necessarily listen to lyrics. They just kind of like listen to music for the way that it makes them feel.
Yeah. What was it? I just saw someone, it might have been Devin Cole. I follow her
Okay.
um, on Instagram. And she said that someone said to her, like, think about it. Do you know the lyrics, all the lyrics to the Thriller chorus?
Oh
The
no. I mean, I
Thriller.
know the words. I don't know what they represent.
What's he
Yeah.
think? I don't know. Nobody knows. But the melody, if the melody is catchy, that's like that gets you. That's the hit.
All that
That's
matters.
the hit maker. Yep.
Nice.
But
Um
with that said,
yeah.
I do like putting a lot of effort into lyrics, and I am one of those people who, if I can't really understand someone's lyrics and I really like the song, I look them up, find out what
Sure.
they mean, and like think about them. I love lyrics. I was a literature major in college, so I
Sure. I
like,
mean, I agree. I'm a lyrics person myself,
yeah,
but I think maybe we're kind of in this bubble of music to where it's like we're looking at things with a different lens, whereas like the other
yeah,
percentage of people are just
he's
like,
not.
yeah, I don't know. I heard the song on the radio the other day and it sounded
That's
good. So I
great.
put it on my playlist and I don't really care what it's about.
Yeah,
That's fine.
exactly.
That's
Exactly.
fine. You know, you don't have to overanalyze anything.
So
But at the
true.
same time, like if you have a connection to the artist or the band, like
Yeah.
I want to know what's going on in your life. So it's nice. It's nice that you can have it both ways in your music.
Can I ask you, do you collect any like hard copy music?
I am looking at a huge tower of records right in front of me.
You okay, okay, okay. So you
Hundreds
have
and
the
hundreds of records.
experience of having the physical
It's the
body.
great I've been doing it since I was 11 years old.
Oh, it's so cool. So
It's the
cool.
best.
Yeah, I mean, I just remember like opening up a CD case and looking at the lyrics and reading them and listening to a whole body of work from start to
Right.
finish. And having that experience was so,
Ah,
we're in a different
totally
time
agree.
right now. We're in a high consumption,
I agree.
fast-paced time. So that the
Right.
art of sitting down and listening to a whole body of work and reading the lyrics and understanding the story from start to finish
Yes.
is gone,
No, I agree. And sometimes there's liner notes in there with,
Yes.
stories of like, this is what this was written about. And listen, I know we're obviously in the streaming era. There's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that. It gives
No.
accessibility for people to discover new people without having, to spend 20 bucks on a record. But
Yeah.
honestly, the best way to support someone is to buy their merch or to buy a ticket to their show. And
So
if you
true.
can have something physical, it's like, what if Spotify goes away? What if Apple Music goes away? Well, I
Yeah,
literally have hundreds of records right here that will keep me occupied for years to come. So it's
I
like
think about
collect
that.
physical media.
There was like a apocalypse and everything just like,
Oh
all the
yeah.
internet went away. Let's say we still had
Right.
electricity.
Oh yeah.
How much music would you have to listen to, right?
It's
Yeah,
true. I got my DVDs, I got my Blu-rays, I got
you'd be
everything.
good.
It's just
I'm
like
coming to
we'd be
your
okay.
house if there's an
You come
apocalypse.
on over. I
You.
promise I will open the world to music that you've never heard of before.
I love that. I love that.
Love
That's great.
that. Okay, I have a few more questions for
Sure.
you. Over the last, 4 years, have you had the opportunity to perform?
Yes, I have.
Okay, how has
Um,
that been?
like great. So, so great. So once COVID kind of, went away. I don't know. It's still around. Whatever.
Subsided.
Subsided, whatever it
Sure.
did.
Yeah.
Because it kind of like read the room and was like, all right, I kind of
Yeah.
have to stop,
I'm gonna take a
being
back
so
seat for a sec.
deadly, right? Yeah.
Right.
I got to go out and do a couple of shows,
Nice.
which was great. So but what I'm most excited about, I started this new show called Women Who Rock. It's really hard actually to support yourself on a tour of original music,
Yeah.
right? That's a tough one. So there's a big market for tribute acts. I'll just,
Of
do a
course.
little. I'm in a Fleetwood Mac tribute called Stevie Mac
Awesome.
also.
Very cool.
Super fun. So I play Stevie
Yeah.
Nicks in that. And I realized there's such a big market for tributes.
Sure.
So I decided, I was like looking at my music and I'm like, well, who does this remind me of? And I picked a few different artists and I was like, like, what if I put together a show called Women Who Rock? And I primarily play, songs from all of these women from different decades who are just
Sure.
like, awesome. And then sprinkle in a couple of my originals. So it's been like this new
That's
vehicle.
awesome.
Yeah, it was really fun. I launched it on May 11th. So I just did this
Oh
show.
wow. Very
Yeah,
recent. Okay.
yeah, very
I
recent.
love that because okay, for a lot of reasons actually, but it's like no offense to independent artists, but try selling a ticket to someone who's never heard of you before. It's
100%.
incredibly difficult. If you can, not necessarily profit off of Fleetwood Mac's name and at the same time promote yourself, kind of feels like the best of both worlds there.
Yeah, exactly. And like, getting to, so like, KT Tunstall.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, okay. So getting to get on stage with this all-star band that I have behind me, and play one of her songs next to one of
Yeah,
my songs, which felt really fitting, uh,
sure.
was such a it was great. It felt really good. And it kind of like bridged the gap for people who were like, yeah, I like that artist. Oh wow, you sound like that artist. Or I like
Oh,
that
well,
song.
here's my
Well, here's
music.
my song.
There you
So it was a
go.
nice little way to drop in
Yeah.
granted, it was like a 90-minute show.
Sure.
And during that time I did three of my own songs in the mix there. But
Nice.
I'll tell you, like, what an honor to have someone in the front row singing the words to Run Wild back to me, like
That's
word for
cool.
word. You know, it's such a good feeling.
Absolutely.
Laura, thank you for that. That was amazing.
Yeah,
Amazing to see. And then to see so many people excited to hear Royal Highness, because I had
sure.
just launched it 10 days earlier, and they were like, oh, are you going to play this at your show? And I wasn't going to, but then at the last minute I was like, why not? It's a good
Yeah,
launch. So yeah, and I
nice.
have a full and awesome, cool band behind me now, who are like,
Cool.
one's more talented than the next. Each of these guys have toured with national acts. They're super,
Sweet.
super good. Yeah. So yeah, it was a great show. I'm super excited about it.
Awesome.
Mhm.
I hope there's more in the works. I really
Definitely.
do. My last one for you here is it's basically okay for the person that's going to listen to this song. Do you think there's anything else important that they should know before they listen for the first time?
Not really. Go in with an open mind.
Okay.
Um, I think the biggest thing, like, I just always want to give someone an experience, something to feel. I
Yeah.
know for me, like, music is such a gift because it's given me words for things that I didn't have words for, but I was feeling,
Yeah.
and a lot of times music has been an experience for me where just the sound and the vibe just gives me like a good feeling. And
Agreed.
I hope that whoever goes in, if you go and listen to my song, I hope it gives you something, whether it's like, yeah, I get that, or whether it's like,
Nice.
I just feel good and I want to dance. Whatever it is, I hope that that's the experience someone gets to take away from it, because that's why I make
No,
music.
that's a great message. Listen, you make empowering music, whether it's for men or women or whatever. It's just like it's music that makes you feel good and it immediately kind of immerses you. And if
Oh,
that's
thank
what you're looking for, I mean, I think not only this song, but the rest is, for you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
I want to thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to do this. It was so great speaking, but please let me plug your music one more time before we wrap up here.
Yeah, sure.
So, if you didn't know, I'm speaking with Freyah. The song is called Royal Highness. Of course, we'll have the links in our articles so that you can listen and share and follow along and stay tuned, whether it be a show or new music. Like, just get excited for it. And seriously, thank you so much. This was awesome. I'm so happy
Thank
we got to
you.
catch up.
It was so great to be reunited with my
I
very
agree.
first interviewee. So thank
I
you.
fully agree. Thank you so much. Have an amazing rest of your day. Let's talk
You
soon.
too, Austin. Thank
All
you.
right.
All
Take care.
right.
Bye bye.
Bye.